Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the Junkyard Crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts with a 1979 Dodge B200 heavy half-ton van, if you will. Now, 1979 brought a couple of cool and interesting new things to the Dodge B Series van. 3 inches longer hood, and believe it or not, more of a downward slope to the hood for better aerodynamics and better fuel economy, as Detroit, from small to large, became very aware of the looming CAFE requirements, corporate average fuel economy. So fuel economy improvements were wherever you could find them, you got them. So this one here again has the slope nose, but something also interesting and new for 79, not seen here on Dodge vans, was the optional bright grille, which was more than chrome. It actually consisted of 2 square headlights on each side, whereas this is the base grille, which still utilized round headlights all the way into 79, believe it or not. And of course, Dodge vans had the option of the rectangular lights or the round lights for another few years after 79. Now this one here, yeah, there's the V8, probably a 318. Yeah, 318 two-barrel right there. And again, the B200 was one step above the B100, and again, the 318 two-barrel right there. And the B100 could be had with a slant 6, but the 200 was strictly V8, either 318 or 360. We look inside this one, and again, the 200 series right there. And if you look in there, here's the dog house, pun intended and otherwise, and that's a fiberglass cover, and underneath it is the back of that LA series 318 two-barrel, totally smogged out. We can see all the tubing for the EGR and all the smog junk and all the anti-backfire valves. You know, that engine came out initially in 1967 with 230 horsepower, gross horsepower, by this point maybe 150 or so. But again, it was still enough torque to move this thing down the road. But another great thing about Dodge vans, or any vans for that matter, in the junkyard, is how they make great storage units. And here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking, you never know what you're going to find in a van. So let's peek in this one here. And look at this. These headlight surrounds right here, if you own a 64 Plymouth, you'll know exactly what these are. But even better yet, grills, and not just one, but 2 of them, and they're both pretty nice. These are 64 Plymouth Belvedere and Savoy type grills, and these things are in nice shape. Now, the reason why these are important is because if you want to build a 64 race Hemi clone, like the one seen in here, you need those grills. And this right here, if you look at the top left picture, that is one of the original 55 built 64 Plymouth A864 race Hemi sedans. See the single headlights? Well, Plymouth actually utilized the low beams only and did away with the inboard headlights by cannibalizing grills. The Dodge on the right-hand side, same thing there. To get another 7 pounds of weight off the nose of these cars, they did away with the inboard lights. And this is Richard Petty, by the way, right there. And if you look on the right-hand side, you can see that he's driving this car, and that's Petty there getting ready to push the buttons. You can see the arrow work your way down with the reverse pattern manual valve bodies, 1, 2, 3, the dial-a-win torque flight. But this, again, is a lightweight aluminum door, aluminum fender, aluminum hood, aluminum bumper, race Hemi Plymouth. And if you're building a clone today, you take these grills, you slice them and dice them, and then you make yourself a single headlight grill, like a race Hemi would have had. Like that. So it's all inside this van waiting for somebody to make it happen. If we make our way to the back, this is kind of cool, this wheel right here. This thing here is sort of olive drab, that's green, that's military. What that is, that's a 16-inch wheel from a Ford M151 Mutt, which basically was built between 1959 and 1988. These were the first unit construction independent suspension Jeeps that replaced, well, Jeeps I shouldn't say, these replaced the M38 series Jeep CJ type vehicle for military use. Again, these things were pretty much lighter and better than the original Kaiser Jeep, but again, these things were somewhat controversial because the independent suspension had a tendency to flip over if you abused it and drove it too fast. But that's a wheel right there from an M151 Ford Mutt. Pretty cool. Never know what you're going to find in a boneyard. And in the back, well, the bounty continues. And here we see some interesting stuff. And again, Bernardston Auto Wrecking is run by Dale Hastings, who is at the core a Mopar guy. So we see some cool stuff. This thing right here looks like a Mopar 4-speed transmission, right? It is. 23 splines. Okay, it's not an 18 spline Hemi box, but it's aluminum. which tells us that it's either a 1965 Hemi box or direct connection lightweight piece or an overdrive. And how do we know that? Well, we look at the shifter tabs right here, and they face up from the pivot point, but the front one faces down. That tells us this is an overdrive, which is to say it has a 309 first gear, which is okay, better than a 255 regular first or 264. But this has a 0.76 overdrive, so the spacing between the gears on this thing is pretty wide. So you're gonna go first, second, third, fourth, and it kind of kills performance. But again, this is a smog era tranny from 77 through the 80s, so it's not what it looks like. And this right here looks like a 4-speed out of maybe a 340 Duster or something like that. And we know it's a small block because this side of the bell housing has a flat face to it. Big blocks have a rounded shape right there. And the starter motor on this is halfway up. It would be lower on a big block. So this is a small block, but again, the case is aluminum, but that steel tail shaft, hang on now, see that gray, that orange, this is an A230. This is a 3-speed manual, so it's not what it looks like. But with that said, it would be okay, this thing in a, just a regular high performance application. More stuff inside, headlight surrounds from a 66 Dodge Coronet, not 2, but 3 of them, kind of cool. Oh, look at this. Okay, this looks like Coronet Deluxe cheap stuff here, and this might be Coronet 500. You can see a difference in the way that the paint is applied to them. But again, same stamping, but again, by the use of paint, the Coronet 500 gets a whole different look from the Coronet Deluxe. Kind of cool. Tail lights, I love these, the Delta-shaped tail lights from the 66 Coronet right here. What a beautiful thing that is, the deltoid. And Dodge was big on Delta shapes. The 67 Dodge Dart incorporated deltoid shapes on it. And again, the die-cast metal tail with the little light bulb hole. And even a cool wood grain simulated steering wheel, maybe from a GTX, Charger RT, who knows. It does suffer from the classic splitting. These things tend to do that. But again, the beauty of these things is just a stainless steel rim right there. Just a pretty piece, you know. These can be restored. There are reproductions, so don't waste too much time. Oh, and oh, what's this? If this is a Craftsman vice grip, used to be you could take this to the Sears store and turn it in for another one. This one here has seen better days. You can see where corrosion has fused the adjuster here into the body right there. I don't think this is going to be turned again, but you know, there might be some help. A little WD-40. Google user GP, what do you say? Is this thing something we can turn in at Sears? You know about Craftsman, so let me know about that one. Anyway, with that said, junkyards, vans, you never know what's inside and what's outside. 79 first year for the longer nose Dodge van and packed full of Mopar gold. This is the story of the Junkyard Crawl. Now, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel. Tell your friends and hit the like button and the bell so that you're alerted tomorrow morning when the next video hits. And again, it's always every day. We'll see you then. Until it's not.